If you've ever lived in a Lagos compound, you'll agree that there's always that one woman who behaves as if life is a beauty pageant and every neighbor is her audience. In Heavenly Grace Yard, one noisy compound in Ajegunle, her name was Madame Roslyn Nduka, but nobody ever called her that. To everyone, she was simply Madame Pepperm, the woman who lived to shine, stun, and show off. Every morning, while other women swept their doorsteps or shouted at their children to hurry for school, Madame Pepperm's day began with a small ceremony. She would fling her door open dramatically, adjust her expensive lace wrapper, and step out as if she were walking the red carpet of a Nollywood premiere. Her perfume could travel from one end of the compound to the other before she even appeared. Her makeup was always perfect, bright red lips, eyebrows shaped like tiny question marks, and eyelashes long enough to wave at mosquitoes. Even her wig seemed to have its own confidence. Whenever she passed, she walked slowly, deliberately, the kind of walk that said, "I know you are looking." If anyone dared to greet her with, "Good morning, ma," she would pause and respond with a proud smile. "Good morning, my neighbors. Another day to shine and pepper my haters." She would shout it loud enough for the next street to hear. Instead of sweeping or cooking breakfast for her children, she would sit by her door mirror, doing makeup. Powder here, foundation there, perfume like small rain. Her children would be running around barefoot, searching for socks and lunchbox, while she would be saying, "Wait first, let mommy blend her eyebrow. We must look fine in this compound." Sometimes, when she wanted to throw out her dustbin, it became a parade. She would spray perfume, wear high heels and expensive lace, and carry the bin like a designer handbag. You would think she was going to a wedding, all just to pass by the people sitting outside. The neighbors often whispered and shook their heads, but she didn't care. Roslyn didn't start life like that though. When she married Nduka, he was doing well, a handsome man who used to supply spare parts at Alaba Market. In those early years, she was calm, respectful, even shy. But small money can wake hidden pride. When Nduka started buying her clothes and jewelry, she began to walk like queen. She stopped greeting people properly and started calling herself Madame Classy. One day, her friend teased her, "Roslyn, you dey enjoy yo?" She smiled proudly and said, "I can't suffer. My destiny no fit smell poverty." But life is funny. After some years, Nduka's business crashed. A fire at Alaba burned his store and goods worth millions. The man nearly ran mad. He had to start driving keke to feed the family. Instead of supporting him, Roslyn started complaining. "So this is how I will end up, wife of keke driver, God forbid." Even at that, Roslyn did not do anything. From morning to night, she would just be sitting there painting her face and fixing her long, colorful nails like she's preparing for a movie audition. Every day, her new hobby was to wear one of those big wigs that looked like burnt sponge mixed with black thread, the kind that could frighten a child at night. If her husband gave her 20,000 naira for food, Roslyn would first remove 7,000 naira to buy a new wig, 3,000 naira to remake her up, another 3,000 naira to do her nails. The remaining small change she would manage to buy gari and sachet water for her poor children to soak gari in peace. Then when her husband came back home from work, tired and hungry, and asked, "Roslyn, where's my food?" she would quickly start her drama. "My leg was paining me today. I wanted to cook, but I couldn't stand up. Or the woman selling pepper annoyed me, so I just left the market." She would lie and laugh small, promise to cook the food the next day just to end the matter. But the next day, instead of cooking, she would start asking again for another money, as if the first one disappeared into thin air. The poor man would just look at her face covered with thick foundation and glittering eyeshadow that could scare a child, shake his head quietly, and step out to find something to eat or go to bed with an empty stomach. In the whole compound, nobody could compete with Madame Pepperm for attention. If she cooked stew, you would know, not because of the aroma, but because of her noise. She would stand in the corridor stirring the pot and saying, "Ah, see my fresh chicken. Some people only buy fish head, but me, I buy full chicken. Now God do one for me, oh." If Mama Blessing bought a new standing fan, Rosaline would buy a Nigerian used air conditioner, even if there was no light. If Sister Titi painted her door brown, Rosaline would paint hers pink and gold. "My destiny likes fine things," she'd always say. Even in the market, people called her Queen of Show-Off. One day, at her children's PTA meeting, she came dressed like she was attaining the Headies Awards. Red gele, green blouse, yellow wrapper, long eyelashes like small fan, and fingernails painted in 5 different colors. The other parents were wearing simple clothes, but Rosaline, she arrived late, heels clicking like police siren. When the teacher asked parents to donate 2,000 naira for the class project, Madame Pepperm shouted, "Only 2,000 naira. I beg, take 5,000 naira. My children cannot be in any class that looks poor." After the meeting, she didn't stop there. She gathered some mothers under a tree and started forming advice. "You see, some of you don't dress well. Children copy what they see. Me, I must look good because my daughter must marry rich man." Everybody just looked at her quietly. One woman whispered, "If only she used all this energy to train her children, eh?" But Rosaline didn't care. She left the meeting feeling like local celebrity. To keep up her Pepperdam lifestyle, Rosaline started borrowing money like it was a talent. She borrowed from a Susu woman, from her friend, even from her children's teacher. Sometimes she'd lie to her husband. "Honey, school fees went up, oh, we need 50,000 naira. Then she used 20,000 naira for lace material and 10,000 naira for new wig, leaving the rest for beans and gari. Nduka would shout, "Rosaline, must you always show off? You are turning my life to embarrassment." But she'd reply, "You men don't understand. If I don't package myself, people will think we are suffering." She didn't know she was already suffering, just in expensive disguise. As if all that was not enough, the landlord's wife once announced the best compound woman contest. The winner would get 50,000 naira and a new gas cooker. Before anyone said go, Madame Pepper then jumped up. "If I no win this contest, oh, make Pepper enter my eye forever." She started campaigning like politician, buying new curtains, borrowing radio to play loud music, cooking stew that made even the landlord sneeze. She took photo shoots at her corridor with caption, "Compound Queen 2025, humble but expensive." The WhatsApp group went mad with laughter. Even Chike the Bachelor said, "This woman a content creator wey no get YouTube channel." A day before the contest, Rosaline overheard Mama Blessing praying, "Lord, let peace and favor rest upon this compound." She hissed, "She won't use prayer with me, never." She ran to her friend Mama Ijebu at Balogu Market and said, "Give me that powder for favor. I want everybody to love me tomorrow." Mama Ijebu warned her, "You small, oh, it's strong." But Madame Pepper then poured half of it around her door, sprinkled the rest inside her perfume, and lighted 3 candles for beauty. By morning, the compound woke up coughing, sneezing. The air was filled with pepper smell mixed with perfume. Even the landlord's dog was barking tears. When they reached Maka Rosaline's door, smoke was rising. The candle had caught her lace curtain. Before she could shout, fire touched her wig. "Jesus, my fine wig, my investment!" She ran around screaming. People poured water. Children shouted, "Fire! Fire on Mommy Fine Girl's head!" Auntie Kemi recorded everything. Within minutes, it was on WhatsApp and Facebook. Madame Pepper then burns herself while trying to pepper others. That day, her name changed from Madame Pepperdam to Madame Pepper herself. After that embarrassment, her husband couldn't take it anymore. He shouted one evening, "Rosaline, I'm tired. You've turned me to a beggar just to maintain your pride." That night, he packed out and went to stay with his brother at Mile 2. 2 months later, news came that he had collapsed at work. Heart failure. He died before she could even say sorry. For the first time in her life, Madame Pepper then went silent. No makeup, no gaily, just wrapper and swollen eyes. She cried for days, and when the burial was over, she realized she had nothing left. No savings, no job, no plan. The same neighbors she used to mock now brought her food. Slowly, her colorful life began to fade. She tried selling small goods at the junction, but her pride didn't let her greet customers well. When business failed, she sat at home, watching others move forward. Time passed. Mama Blessing finally finished her bungalow in Tukoridu. Sister Titi got married. Chiki moved out to his own flat. Whenever a neighbor packed out, they would come to greet her and say, "Madam Roslyn, take care, oh. May God bless you." She would smile weakly, but deep down, her heart was breaking. One afternoon, she sat at her corridor alone. The walls were quiet, no children playing, no gossip, no laughter. Her once beautiful compound looked like ghost yard. She whispered to herself, "I was busy trying to pepper people who were busy planning their future." Tears dropped quietly on her wrapper. A year later, the landlord organized a second best woman contest. This time, a new tenant, a quiet young tailor, won easily. When they invited Madame Pepperm to give a short speech, everybody expected the usual bragging, but she surprised them. She stood up slowly, tied a simple wrapper, no makeup, and said softly, "My people, I used to think life was about who shines the most, but I now know it's about who builds quietly. I was showing off with borrowed money and borrowed peace. I lost my husband, my friends, and my respect. Don't compete to impress, compete to improve." Silence filled the compound. Even the landlord nodded like a pastor. From that day, Madame Pepperm changed completely. She began helping neighbors, fetching water for children, cooking for the sick. She became everyone's auntie, the once proud queen who now served with humility. When people called her Madame Pepperm, she would smile and say, "I know the pepper again, no. I now they season with wisdom." Moral lesson. Pride can make you borrow shame with interest. Those who live to impress others die empty. True shine, no, they make noise. It just glows. Use your energy to build, not to boast. If you waste your time trying to look rich, you end up too poor to live.